every time I have a customer comes in and they're like, oh, I really like this product. And in my head, I'm like, okay, why do you like that product? And I'm like, well, what do you use it for? What do you like it? And then in a sense, it's like, okay, well, I want to be the only person that can provide you that product. And I want to provide you the best quality version of that product. Because I could just, if you said you like dirt, I could go on the corner and scoop up some dirt and say,
Hey everybody, welcome to the Levelin Up podcast with Brigham Blackham. I'm here with my good friend Nick. He is someone that is a serial entrepreneur, and honestly, he's best known for just having a charismatic personality to connect with customers in such a way that they feel known, liked, and trusted. And I'm really grateful to have you on today. And one of the things that his claim to fame is in my business for Staybnbee.com is he has stayed more than any other guest in any of my short-term rentals. So
that's right. I hold that record.
he holds the record. He's the best short-term rental guest I have. And like anytime he calls me, I was like, I will figure out a way to host you because he's awesome. So
I appreciate it.
Welcome to the podcast.
Dude, thanks for having me, brother. I know it's been a while, so here we are. So a lot of stuff we chatted about. So let's get after it. Let's get some good stuff out there.
Okay, so I actually wanted to start with kind of a unique way to get to know people really quickly.
Okay.
I already know you, but this is a way for my audience to get to know you very quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something called Discover Your Drive. Okay. Whoa, a little fuzzy there. Okay. Discover Your Drive. Now, basically, the purpose behind this is to get to know you in an instant, to get to know you really quickly, and then the things that drive you, the ways you can connect with people. So what I'm going to have you do is to go through these cards. There's 5 different options.
Okay.
And you're going to read each card and you're going to tell me which one makes you feel the most important. Not what is most important to you, but what makes you feel the most important. Choose the very best one. We're going to discuss a little bit, and then we're going to go in. We're going to talk about like your business. We're going to talk about your vape shop, a little bit of your background, and have fun. So
okay.
Right,
Trust.
go ahead. Trust. That's the one word that pops out. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm reading these ones. So I'm going to read these as he's going through that. So recognition, acceptance, praise, trust, respect, validation, being needed. Like trust, that's the thing that pops out. Okay.
Family and service. Those are
okay.
Those are tough. But
so
I'd say
you have 2 on this one. All right, not bad. Okay, so that one's kind of ahead of this one for right now. What makes you feel the most important?
Providing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear that. Right. You've got 3 businesses, so you're like, okay, providing, that's a big deal for you. I get that.
I would say performing on that one.
Performing on this one? Okay.
Yeah.
Performing.
And then knowledge.
And knowledge. Okay, so all of these have 1 or 2 words that pop out. Which one do you feel like if you could only have one, which one makes you feel the most important?
Trust.
Trust. Okay. So having trust, so recognition, acceptance, praise, trust, respect, validation. That's the thing. You're like, if I have that, everything else is just, it's jiving for you.
Yeah. Let's
see if this matches you and your personality. You ready for this? Okay. Do you like to have people give you attention and focus? Is this like something like, man, I feel like I want to be like, not just necessarily the center of attention, but be able to connect with people in that way?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's check this one out. So being complimented. I don't know anybody that doesn't like to be complimented.
Yeah. But not so much. Not so much.
Do you like to give compliments though?
Yeah.
So that's a superpower. This is called a validator, right? Someone that loves to validate somebody else.
Yeah.
To let them feel important. Okay. This next part is to highlight accomplishments. So do you like to have some of your accomplishments highlighted?
I'm dude, the real thing is like, if it's directed towards me, I deflect. So
you deflect.
Like, oh, no. I just always feel like there's another mountain. There's always another peak to achieve, which is good and bad at the same time. But for the most part, like, I would prefer to give that to somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. So you just want to make sure that you people that are close to you,
people that are around
know
me,
that they're important. Yes. They're validated. That's phenomenal. Okay. And this last one, you like to describe your future success, things that you want to accomplish, things that you're that next mountain, that next.
Yeah. Do I like to describe it? Yeah. Like to talk about it and basically just the next mountain peak to climb up. So yeah.
I love that. Okay. So for me, I am more of this guy, right? A director, right? I love experiencing life, connecting with other people. My main thing is creativity and performing.
Right.
Love that. It's like,
it's your jam.
I just jive with it. I love it. Like overcoming an appearance, like all these different elements. Like it's a way that you can connect with someone really well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how this manifests in your business. So how do you show validation and to connect with your customers? I mean, that's one of your superpowers is connecting
Yeah.
with them and letting them know, hey, we've got your back. We're going to make you feel important. We're going to help you see that whatever it is that you need, we got your back.
Yeah. I think the reason why that is, I guess, the way that I am is that I just know I've had a lot of really good experiences feeling that way in that scenario. So just my whole life, I've just been like, dang, I love how that feels. I want to replicate that as much as possible, whether that's work, business, friends, acquaintances, relationships. That's just how you have to do it, at least in my opinion. I think that's just what sets your character aside.
Yeah.
Because if you do it consistently and you show like in adversity or whatever, like no matter what, like I'll take care of you, you're good. Like I believe as people, we all seek that safety. Everybody wants
Mm.
to feel safe. They want to feel seen, heard, and understood. So that's just always been my process growing up. I can't pinpoint the one time, but I just remember there was just one person treated me so good in like a retail environment
Mhm.
when I was younger, and I was like, dang, I want to be like that guy.
You're gonna be
And
like
then,
that guy.
yep, and then it
Totally
just
get that.
carried on for the rest of my life. And I wish I could pinpoint what it was, but it was just a really wonderful experience that just sat with me for my whole life. So
Yeah, I love that. I just remembered I forgot to check to see if our mics are working. So I'm just gonna double check. If we could really comprise what it is that you do, well, you're a serial entrepreneur. You've got multiple businesses that you run. You connected with real estate. Tell us what it is that really makes you feel the most important. Not just like when you're getting value, but like what is it that like drives you in business?
it's a two-part answer. I guess the first part would be creating a substantial security for like myself and the future, like children and wife and all that other stuff, and my
Mhm.
mom and close family and friends. So that's the huge main one, is creating that security,
Yeah,
because I think just realizing early, it's like if I don't do it, nobody's gonna. So
right.
I gotta just F and do it. So I just crank it out the best I can. And then I guess the second part of it, what makes me feel that way would
Mhm.
be just seeing people light up and seeing people like have that sense of relief. Or I like part of the one of those cards was like problem solving. It's like whatever your problem,
Oh,
your issue is, like trust me, I will figure it out. I will get it taken care of. And um it's like that Superman complex, that
uh-huh.
God complex.
Like I
Like
got you.
yeah, I will take
So,
care of it. I'll figure it out. So I think that's what really drives the factor home, is just to make sure that people are taken care of, and that when I see their reactions or their sense of relief or whatever, like that's that's what translates into the businesses, and that's why that is my main focus in every single business that I do.
oh, that's an excellent answer. So let's go a little bit deeper into your vape shop because that's actually how
Mhm.
we got connected.
Yes.
You stayed in one of my short-term rentals. Like, hey, I'm remodeling my
Yeah.
vape
Doing
shop.
a
It's
whole bunch
pretty
of
freaking
stuff.
cool, and we're gonna go do some content over there. So watch for those shorts later. But tell us a little bit about that whole process of going and buying somebody else's existing business and saying, hey, I'm gonna make this better.
Yeah.
I'm gonna provide a service at such a high level that people are gonna know, like, and trust me, and I'm gonna deliver on what I say I'm gonna deliver.
Yeah. I've my first business was the just vape. Like we were just making vape products
Uh-huh.
for the state of Utah and some places out of state.
And it was called Just Vape.
It was called Lucky Boy Vape. So
Okay.
that's what that company is. And we created, e-liquid and a bunch of other products.
Yeah.
I got into it because I just saw people were gravitating to it, and I was like, oh, this
Mhm.
is a pretty cool community. I used to smoke in college, and
Okay.
so I was like, oh, this is a cool new, you know, thing. And in that industry, I traveled all over the US. I've probably been to at least 30, 35 of the states. I haven't been to all of them, but enough. Went to a lot of
Yeah.
conventions, met with a lot of people. So I just provided that service, like I mentioned earlier, of like, hey, like whatever you need, I'll take care of it. You want a specific flavor, I'll make it. You want a specific product, I will find it. Like I just
Mhm.
created that white glove service, which wasn't around, but it was at the same time. It was very far and few between.
Yeah.
Uh, and since I've seen so much and traveled so much, I had that extra knowledge and experience. So when I see other area or other, for example, clients and stuff in Utah, and I see
Yeah.
what they're doing or not doing, and it's like I just want to rip my hair out
You're
for a
like,
second. I'm like,
oh
oh,
man,
you would just, yeah.
you just
So
not. connecting with the people.
Yep. Yeah. You're not, connecting the dots. And I just remember specifically asking a buddy of mine, I was like, dude, I think I want to get a shop. And I've been in the wholesale aspect for so long that he was like, really? Like, you've been doing wholesale for like 15 years. Like, now you want to get in the retail? I was like, I kind of miss it. Like, you get those experiences with wholesale, but it's not the same.
Yeah, 'cause it's
And
more like B2B. So
yeah.
you get a good relationship with the actual business owner, but
Yes.
you don't get the customer
Correct.
relationship.
So you do miss out on that. It's pros and cons, right? And I just remember him mentioning me about the lady that was selling this vape shop, and I just drove up here one day and met with her, and I just said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll buy it off you." And it was just call it a midlife crisis, I guess. But
Okay.
I was like, "Yep, sure, I'll do it." So
You're
bought
figuring
it.
out.
Yeah, bought it, and then we just slowly over the last because I've only owned it for a year and like almost 2 years. It's like a year and 7 months, but over that year and a half, basically, just slowly making it nicer, changing things, adding better products, adding better services. Um, One of the huge things people complained about when I first took it over was she didn't provide card processing.
Really?
So yeah,
Well, you probably missed out on a lot
you
of
missed
business.
out on a lot.
Because I don't even carry cash anymore.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, who does
So
that?
it's just such a weird thing, and she she didn't process cards. She only did cash and limited like products. She only carried what she liked. And again, this is stuff not new to me. I've seen it all over the US. And to me, I was like, I don't care. I lose 1.5 or 5% per transaction. Like, as long as you guys are happy and you feel comfortable, that's what matters.
They'll be coming back.
Yeah.
And this is
Mhm.
thinking, hey, how do I actually serve my customer
Yeah.
rather than how do I serve myself? How do I make this as easy on me?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you're going to scale your business, you're going to be growing, you're going to be actually helping people the way that they want to be helped. It comes down to what do they need? What do they want? And then can you deliver on what those things are
Yeah.
consistently
Yeah.
with like a high quality of product? So
Yeah.
I think
No.
that's huge.
I agree. I think that's just like my 4 rules is what do they need? What do they want? What are they missing? And what can I introduce them to?
Ooh,
So
that's
that's
good.
usually what I do in every aspect because I mean, as you know, Mount Pleasant's kind of barren for the most part, and we're from the city in a sense, so we have
Yeah.
everything there at our fingertips. So out here, that's kind of been my play just throughout the whole thing is okay, what else can I do? What else can I put? What else can I offer? And then just asking questions and doing that. But yeah, it was literally just there was a lack thereof, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to do what I can to make it not so much of a lack, so that way everybody feels comfortable. And we've slowly heard it a lot, like, oh man, like I don't have to go up north or down north, whatever you guys call it. So
I get you. We say up north.
I
I'm
say
down here.
I say down north, but yeah, everyone's like, I don't have to go, north and get anything. Like I'm starting to be able to just have to come shop here. And they, people have the other aspect of it too is, the pricing differences and stuff. Like there's not as many people here, but there are. So we try and make the prices comparable to up north, but at the same time, it's like it's so hard because we got to be able to change products. We're not able to buy as much, and it's just a whole process. But again, it all comes down to those 4 questions, like I mentioned. What do they want? What do they need? What are they missing? And what can I make sure that they have?
That's a really great perspective. And the thing is, you can use that in multiple different businesses. So
Everything.
helpful.
Everything.
So let's see. How do you answer that question when you're applying your other? You got 2 other businesses. So what are those other 2 businesses?
So the other one I have is just the distribution network for consumer goods. So like vape products, CBD products, any like off-brand stuff like equipment, hardware, and stuff like that for the vape stuff. So we do that. And then we have the CBD shop, or the vape shop, CBD shop, and then I have um, a holistic store in Layton. And then I also have just the manufacturing of the vape products as well. I did have 2 little other side stuff, but they're passion projects for the most part. So I think after this year or next year, I'll probably focus on them more. But those are just it. It's more of like I'm based in like the service industry for the most part, like trying to get products and services out to people to make sure everybody's happy and content for the most part.
For sure. Now, a lot of my audience is really conservative and they're very religious. Like myself, I'm very religious.
Yeah.
And they're going to have like a preconceived notion, like, hey, I don't want to talk to people that are
Yeah.
not part of the vape community, and there may be like a wall. So what have you done to help create a reassociation from saying, hey, I'm providing a valuable service to people that need what I have? So
Yeah.
let's talk about that.
Oh man, the age old thing. I've probably dealt with that like stigma for the last, I'm 33 and I started this when I was 22, 21.
Yeah.
So about 14, 15 years I've just been dealing with it. But
Mm.
I think what it comes down to is I think a lot of us are associated with being scumbags or whatever. But
You're,
I
you're
think
like the farthest thing from a scumbag.
exactly.
Like,
'Cause
what?
I think when people have that perception, and then when they meet like somebody like me who's just goofy kid, kind of like just regular guy, and then I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm in the consume. I usually lead it with like I'm in consumer goods,
There you
and
go.
they're like, oh okay, like what is that specifically? I'm like, well, since you asked.
Since you asked, right?
And then I usually tell people, I actually do, the vape stuff and everything. And then usually I'll always be, oh, what doesn't that cause cancer? Doesn't that cause this? And I think the reason or the way that I go about it to disassociate with like a bad is I know people would get defensive and I just get inquisitive. So I ask them, oh yeah, yeah, that may be of something you heard. Like, where'd you hear that from? Or I try and understand where they're coming from. And then I usually just always not educate, but just let them know about a specific thing or whatever. And it's perfect example would be like people are saying, well, doesn't that give you popcorn lung? I was like, I could see where you could get that from, but usually the story, which again, for all your listeners and stuff, here's this tiny little history lesson.
Yeah.
Popcorn lung is associated with actual workers that worked in the popcorn factories back in like the 1950s and 60s, to where the powder that they put on the popcorn is it's so porous that it would go through their masks and it would technically go into their lungs, and then the butter, in a sense, that powdered butter would clog up your the pores in your lungs, which would then restrict breathing, cause breathing issues and stuff like that. And that technically is called popcorn lung, is what they called it.
Wow.
So it technically just derived from that. The reason why they associate it with the vape stuff is because people were like, oh yeah, I've been coughing up a lot of gunk and this, that, and the other. Um, and there used to be people still use it, but it's a compound called diacetyl, which is basically butter or like that buttery taste. So diacetyl is in liquid butter, Orville Redenbacher, it's in all that stuff. So it's everywhere. But that's what people were freaking out about, and they're like, oh well, you might be getting popcorn lung because there's diet, like people found the association to some extent. But really what it came down to is that the vegetable glycerin and the propylene glycol that's in the product actually breaks down the tissues that are in there in your lungs, like the goo and the gunk. So you're actually coughing up bad stuff. So you're getting rid of phlegm, bacteria, so on and so forth, because it's a sterile product. So people, when they were like, "Oh, I'm hacking up all this stuff," it's like, "Yeah, you're hacking up 10 years of smoking or whatever you were inhaling or ingesting." So it actually, I'm not saying it helps, but I'm just saying that it helped break up a lot of the stuff. And then that's where people come with, I can taste better, I can breathe better, I can smell better. It's because you broke up all that stuff that was causing so many problems. And then as it sits there and it just becomes part of your body, it then turns into a disease or some type of thing. So that's where like that one misconception, again, that's just one of very many. I've heard, a bunch of stuff, but that's how I go about, is just to reassure them that I'm not just telling them BS or getting upset with like what they say. I just educate or try and talk and be like, yeah, like let's have the conversation. One of the greatest things I ever heard is the moment we stop talking is the moment we start fighting. So
That's so good. That's a good one.
So I feel like if we don't talk, we're never going to get to a good point. And as soon as we stop, we're just going to argue and fight, and people's feelings get hurt, and people like just don't know how to have an adult conversation. So to take that stigma away, and then at the same time, even in the CBD realm, we get, well, doesn't that get you high? And doesn't it do this? And doesn't do that? And I just tell people all the best information I can. And I have had many, many successes on both realms where people have been like, wow, this is so much better. Like my husband doesn't stink, or my wife is, doing better, or then vice versa with the CBD stuff. Like, oh, wow, like there, I can sleep so good. I feel so, everything feels so much better. And it's just letting people know that there's a lot of stuff that has a stigma. I don't know if you can go to the conspiracy theorist route, but a lot of stuff
Okay.
there's a stigma on a lot of
Yeah.
stuff because I think the government or people or groups or however, like people will have a notion, and it's just like anything else, like a fire. It'll just start burn everything down, and then that's it. Whatever's left is left, and what's burnt down is burnt down, and you'll never know anything about it. So I feel like once people get reintroduced or understand things, or do a little research on their own, there's a lot of information out there. But that's what people's like eyes are like, oh well, I don't understand, or and then they ask the questions, and then it's just like I said, all comes down to talking, really. It's what
Yeah,
it comes down to.
I loved how you said, you know what? It's about being inquisitive. It's
Mhm.
about actually inquiring, you know what? Let's go a little deeper instead
Yes.
of just saying, well, that's bad. I'm
Yeah.
not going to talk about
That's
it.
not true.
Like,
That's yeah.
for me, I have a religious reason I don't smoke,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people that that do it. It's something that they enjoy. And
Yeah.
one of the things I'm going to help you guys create a reassociation as well, because when I first connected with Nick, I was like, well, we have different views in life, but we were just like friends
Yep.
immediately. I was
Yep.
like we're just buds.
Yep.
And you think about it, if you are willing to say, I don't have to think like every single part of my value system the exact same as you,
Right.
but we can be friends. We can find common ground and say, well, you know what?
And respect each other.
And respect each other and
For sure.
be conscientious of how other people are feeling. And
Yep.
one of the things I thought was really cool. So this is a story that's happening right now.
Yeah.
I had my mom, so she is currently on hospice right now. It's really, really a challenging situation. And she's having like serious bone pain because she has bone cancer.
Yeah.
And I called up Nick. I was like, Nick, I am in Colorado and she needs some CBD like now, like little gummies. And he's like, I got you, bro.
Yep.
And he gave the Lucky Boy or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
The
think I was
gummies.
the little gummies. And that actually helped with their bone pain.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, if you think about the different services that we provide, whether you're in a service that is like washing windows or you're providing a specific product, it really comes down to, are you able to actually solve a need? Are you able to find something that somebody is feeling that pain or that frustration and help them get to a better state? Like you said, a lot of times you're like the gummies, they can help people sleep better, or they can help alleviate topical pains. My mom has these like topical rubs that allow her to have some of that joint pain get relieved.
Yeah. Take the edge off.
It's something that I didn't realize was so universally helpful. So let's come and talk about like kind of addiction in like an umbrella, and then talk about how it's kind of like an ideal business in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
Like, all right, how do I help my friends become raving fans?
Yes.
Right. I feel like you got a little bit of an edge when it's like an addiction based, like video games, like super addictive, or like gambling, super addictive.
Yeah.
Like anything with like candy, like that's super, like ice cream, super addictive.
Yep.
But there's some businesses that don't have a super addictive product.
Yeah.
But there are ways to create raving fans. So let's see if we can kind of break down what addiction is in your experience, and then how do you take someone from like someone that's curious all the way to like someone that loves, like addicted to you, man, and a fan, like a hyper fan, like someone that just loves what you do.
Yeah.
And keeps like connecting with you.
I think any business should always try and look at the aspect of what do I have to do different to make it that addictive environment or at that addictive feel. But then at the same time is always look at what people are already doing or feeling or wanting and trying to make that like the latest and greatest. Like gosh, for example, that soda shop that's in town, freaking nuts, dude.
So delicious.
Just literally is just so nuts. But it's just oh no, I'm talking about the fizz one.
Oh, the fizz one. Okay.
Yeah, but both of them still, they're just crazy. It's just that is something that people are already addicted to. They go to the stores, they buy a bunch of soda cans,
water,
sugar water.
It's sugar water.
Yep, they love sugar water, and the way that they do it is they add a spin. They just like, you want to pump a coconut in there, and
you want sugar water with some different sugar?
Yeah,
how about another type of sugar?
Yes,
literally. Like, I'll take sugar on my sugar, please.
Can I have sugar times 2?
sugar. Sugar.
How'd you get so fly? Yes. But yeah,
It's our buddies.
but yeah, that's really what it is. All they did is they decided to, instead of giving it to you in a can, they're going to give it to you in a styrofoam cup with an extra sugar on top, and people go crazy over it.
Yeah.
So I think
I have that other song popping in my head. Pour some sugar on me.
In the name of love. I think that's what it comes down to, is trying to the whole addictive or addiction thing. Like, even one of the thoughts that I have in my head every time I have a customer comes in and they're like, "Oh, I really like this product," and in my head I'm like, "Okay, why do you like that product?" And I'm like, "Well, what do you use it for? What do you like it?" And then in a sense, it's like, okay, well, I want to be the only person that can provide you that product. And I want to provide you the best quality version of that product. Because I could just, if you said you like dirt, I could go on the corner and scoop up some dirt and say, "Here you go." Yeah.
Dirt in a cup?
Yeah, here you go.
Dirt in a bowl?
Which way would you like it? Or I could say, "Hey, Brigham, I know you guys have a farm. You guys probably have some really good dirt that has some great vitamins and nutrients, and I need some good topsoil. Like, let me get some from you." And then that person would be way more appreciative of the topsoil, beautiful, vitamin rich, good soil that I got from you, as opposed to just trying to make a quick buck and just grabbing it off the side of the road.
It's like Brian Regan. Call it a cup of dirt.
I call it a cup of dirt.
Like, no, this is about marketing. You're like, no, this is not cup of dirt. This is topsoil.
This is
highest quality. You've
exactly.
got all the nitrogen you need in
everything.
There, perfect fertilizers. This is like potting soil that has the peat moss and peat.
Yes.
And it's all about the customer experience. Could it be the exact same thing?
It could
maybe.
It could be.
But
possibly.
It's how you frame it, and then how you present it, and where you source it. Like, all those different elements.
And then that person becomes addicted to that. And I don't know. Are most of your fan base, are they like real estate people?
Yeah, real estate investors and business owners.
Yeah, dude, biggest advice I could give, even just for that, and this is just coming from overly analytical brain. If you guys want to figure out like how do you get people addicted, stay in your B&B for 2 or 3 days and then find every single thing wrong. I promise you, you will get people so addicted, because you'll find people that'll be like, "Oh wow, they dusted the fans." They like finding like you. I guess to get the people addicted to you is also, one, know your product forward and backward. Two, experience your own product if you can, obviously, and really understand what your product's doing, so that way you can obviously retell the story. And then three, really like nitpick your own product, but not in a way of like, "Oh, I suck my product or my real estate or whatever, like my location." Just nitpicking it to the point of like, okay, which goes back to what we said earlier, how do I be the only person to provide you? How do I be the only person to give you the best service or the best Airbnb, apartment complex, whatever the case may be? Is, like I said, the best thing I can say is stay there, because I'm super nitpicky to where I'll stay at some other Airbnbs and I'll lay in the bedroom and I'll look at the fan and there's dust on it, and I lose my mind. I lose my mind. Or like I check the fridge and there's like there's water stain. There's just things where it's just like, try and stay. And or if something's wrong, like that's one thing I'll say, at least in the Airbnbs I've stayed with you, I haven't had any issues with stuff. But like for the most part, there's other Airbnbs I've stayed and it's like, dude, does the person not stay here? Does the person not experience it and try and use, like, flick on every light, try every little whatever? And that's how you provide that addictive service. Because now, like, when I come down here, like, yeah, there's the train tracks and stuff, but I'm always like, well, I'm addicted to Brigham, so I'm just going to hit them up. Be like, "Hey, man, what do you got?" And you've created that with just having that consistent service. So,
and I think what you brought there was key. It's not just consistent service, it's service that's dependable. It's something that you're like, hey, the quality is consistent.
Yes.
And cleaning is consistent. And you've got all these different elements. And because I'm very meticulous in how I put it together, the whole experience is thought through before a guest even came.
One really thing I really like about you is you always have batteries. Because I remember I've texted you and been like, "Dude, the batteries are dead." You're like, "Check the top drawer on the back."
Right,
yeah, I'm like,
in the mason
I'm like,
jar.
"Holy there's batteries here." I was like, "Hell yeah!" So, but that's, dude, that's a thing that a lot of Airbnbs, a lot of places, they don't have that little thing. Or why don't they check all their remotes and make sure that all the remotes work before, or like I said, do what you do. There's a pack of batteries, like, go ahead and swap them out or whatever. So yeah, it's really good. But I agree with you. It's creating that consistent service, that consistent dependability, and then making sure that when whatever industry you're in, because like I said, the vape shop people here are completely different than the 60, 70-year olds that I get going to our holistic store. They're the ones
Oh
that
yeah, drastically
that
different clientele.
so different, but the service content is still the same.
Yeah.
Ask what they need, make sure you take care of them, always give them the best service, like consistently, always make sure hey, what else can we do for you? And we don't, I know a lot of people hate when people ask questions. That's another thing. Like like customers, we like, well, I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions. I'm like, dude, if you keep asking me or apologizing for asking too many questions, I'm gonna give you 10% off. That's usually what I tell people. And then they're like, what?
You're giving me feedback on
yeah,
how I can make it better?
Yeah, and they're
help
like,
you understand how to serve you better?
Yep. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you keep saying sorry for asking me questions. I'm gonna give you 10% off. And they're like, okay. And like
there's questions I can ask to get that 10%.
And so we always we just appreciate a lot of that in both ends. Like I said, we always have a lot of those people doing that, and that's how they feel. Like I said, that sense of safety, that sense of belonging, and that sense of like trust is because I tell all my employees, treat everybody like your best friend you haven't seen in forever or you see every day. Like always make everybody feel appreciated, because then that way you can make sure to service them how they should be, and they'll always have like that great experience, and then they will become addicted to the products and the service, and hopefully more so the service and the products. But
yeah, and I think a lot of this comes down to like when I think of the word addiction in Mandarin, you have shangin and you also have sheen. So shangin is to have that addiction be on you, but sheen, if it's this idea of you're attracting something new, and then you have it become part of you and your existence and the way you experience things. So in any context of business, if you have a great product and service and you become someone that provides a highest level of service for your people,
that white glove service,
then people will start to know, like, and trust you, and you'll consistently deliver on what you say you're going to deliver, and you are who you say you are, so people can build the trust factor.
Yeah,
and they say, you know what, I trusted you here. Let's go try this other product that you've got, and I got this other product, and that's where you have that recurring revenue come.
Yeah,
because it's not just, hey, can I serve you one time? Like,
yeah,
you have a lot of clients, I'm sure, that maybe come in one time, but I would say the value in most businesses is creating a customer relationship that actually is impactful.
Yeah.
So what are some of the patterns you've seen in your business? Because you've got 3 different businesses, right? Really, like 2 of them are pretty similar.
Yeah.
But the holistic one, that's drastically different. So let's talk about that one just for a moment. What are some of the patterns you've seen in your service and in the way that you go about finding that ideal client?
The ideal client that we want is the people that have tried everything, or it sounds really messed up, but I want the people that are basically like at their wits end, completely discouraged, absolutely like have no way of out, and they're like, this is the last thing I've researched, this is the last thing I've tried, you guys popped up as the recommended, and that's the type of client that I kind of look for. And again, super messed up, but the reason why is because I'm like, oh, I know we can fix whatever you have going on, and making sure that we just consistently say, hey, what are your ailments, what do you need, what can I help, what can we do for you? And it's always making sure that we listen to them. So that's part of the pattern, is one, listening to them, whether it's a 20-minute explanation or a 2-hour. Like I've had people tell me like, oh, like it starts with a car accident and ends with them getting ice cream before they came in. So, it's just everything. Everything in between. And I think that's part of the pattern, is just listening to them, hearing what they're saying, and then also just, I guess, enjoying the moment too. Like some people are getting this weird mentality of like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to do this. And I think that's where we've like also noticed is like, hey, make sure you're here because that's what you like, right? You like to talk, you like to listen, you like to have that energy with people. So we try and basically pick up on, what's their problem. The type of person that comes in, or what we've noticed is the people that are just at their wits end. They're already throwing their hands up, so they don't even
tried every product.
They already don't even believe we can do anything for them. So they're already like, oh well, here's my Hail Mary, and it just makes it that much more easier because we instill that trust and that confidence, and then we always tell them, because I think people always think too, like we've gotten really good at offering products that have like a high quantity count or whatever, to where it's like, hey, you can self-medicate this and use it as much as you like, but I'm not here to just sell you snake oil and have you come back the next day and be like, well, it worked, but I used it all because that's the only way it worked. Like, we really try and be like, hey, this product is meant to be used every other day or every day, and that will give you a 20-day supply, 30-day supply, 60-day supply, depending on where you go about it. And I think that's where we find a lot of our success, is making sure we provide the knowledge, the information, and I guess the ear, to where it's like, we're here to listen to you. We're here to provide for you. And here's everything that we have that'll work. We're not trying to oversell you. We're not going to try and sell you stuff that's not going to work. We're going to sell you exactly what you asked for, if not even a little bit more. And you're going to be beyond happy.
Love that. And one of the things I think is really key, because this is just the principle, guys.
Yeah.
When you are giving people what they need, even when they only ask for a small portion of it. You say, well, do you want to get relief now? Yes, of course. Well, I'm not only going to give you one.
Right.
You want relief for a long time. So we're going to help you get healed, not just like the topical Band-Aid.
What is that called too? Gosh dang it. There's a way of, like you said, topical Band-Aid. It's like
going to the source, going to the root cause of the problem, rather than trying to just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
And I think in business, a lot of times we think we know what our customer wants, but if we don't actually ask them,
exactly,
we totally would miss it. Like, so for instance, like if I didn't ask you like what your drive was, I would have assumed that you were an executive, because like you're very successful in business. You've got, multiple facets of income, and you're really high level as far as a mindset when it comes to that. But you told me you're a validator. I was like, oh, because you like to help other people feel good about themselves and provide that service.
Yeah.
I was like, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's the main goal for sure. And I think it's just like you said too. People don't like to ask. I don't know if it's because we've gotten softer or whatever over the last few years, but I mean, you're about my age, right?
Yeah, I'm 34.
Yeah.
So you're 33.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how your parents, but I mean, we got railed growing up. Like, hey, Brigham, get your schoolwork done. Make sure you got this
the helicopter parent thing.
Yeah, dude,
I had an awesome mom and an awesome dad.
Yeah, but that's
they definitely encourage me, like, hey, go figure this out.
Yeah, go do it. Yep. And I think that's the problem, is that now that we're adults, we don't have what's that next person? You're like, who's that? It's
I better hire a coach.
That's what people do. But the way I've looked at it is, it's my customers.
Yeah.
That's who's going to tell me if I suck, if I'm doing good, if I need to buckle down, or, give me a whooping in a sense. Like, those are the people that's going to get me to that next level. And if I don't ask questions, and if I don't take what they say, in Spanish, they call consejas. It's like, I don't know how to say it in English, but it's basically like
counsel.
giving me counsel, giving you, their word of wisdom. If I
almost like advice, right? Basically,
advice.
Like, hey, I'm gonna talk with you. We're gonna have a heart to heart and figure out what's the root cause.
Yeah, basically. So if you don't have that, I really don't think you have at all. Like, nothing. You don't have jack, and it sucks, because I think that's what a lot of people think is, I have this wonderful idea, and just because you're doing good doesn't mean that there's not something else to improve on, or something else to kind of work on. Like Walmart, for example, they're doing great. Who told them to open up a gas station with a little grocery store? Have no idea, but it does well. Like,
you're like, oh, I guess I'll get some.
I guess I'll get Walmart gas. Like, same with Costco.
About the same price.
Same with convenience and offering that service. And I think the sooner people ask questions, and I think, again, the other thing is like telling people, like, hey, like, if you tell me your honest opinion, like, I don't care if it hurts my feelings. I usually tell people that all the time, and they're usually like, oh, what's that? Like, okay, well, now we got that BS out of the way. I'm like, what do you really think? They're like, I really just don't like this, or I don't like how your employee talks like that, or I don't like. I'm like, perfect. That's what I want to hear. I was like, you know what? What do you normally buy? Here's one at half off or whatever. And it's just, I really want that brutal
Constructive
criticism. Yeah.
Here's an example from my life, my background. I came from the theater world. So as an actor, literally your job is to take advice from your director and implement it immediately. Like right now. Because if you don't, the show can't progress. And anytime you don't progress, the entire production is actually not as good. So one of the things I love about this is when you get a great criticism, you can say, I'm going to do that now. And you can say, thank you you for that horrible review. Like,
seriously.
One of my favorite things I did. So this was when I was in Damn Yankees over in Hale Center Theater. That's one of my first professional shows. And I was performing as best as I could in our rehearsal. And I was like, I'm in a locker room. He would actually work out, like do a couple push-ups, like hype himself up. I was thinking in the character. And my director, he's like, wow, that was a choice. It's a bad one, but that was a choice. Let's try something else next time. And you think about it, like if we have customers that trust us enough to say, hey, like we're not gonna like post this everywhere on social media, make like to badmouth you. Like, hey, that was a bad choice. Let's do a little better next time. Or just try something different. Because there's nothing wrong with making a huge choice. But if you make a big choice and it's down the wrong path, like it's kind to say, you know what, hey, this is the wrong path. Let's do a U-turn or pivot and get back onto the right path.
Agreed 100%.
That's huge.
A sense of community also helps too. Like I said, people build that trust and build a community, then they feel like, well, this is my shop too. Like, you know, I want to make sure you're successful.
You're talking about, right?
I want to make sure you're successful in this, that, and the other.
If you don't feel safe and you're like, hey, I'm not going to actually share with you any type of criticism that'd be helpful. Right? You might hear one thing from them, and if you respond poorly, they'll be like, oh, I'm never going to do that again, ever. Even if it's true, and they might actually have something that could help you in your business. And I'm curious, so since we only have a few moments left, when you are selling like these types of addictive type of products, what is it that you feel helps you really connect with the people the most, so that you know, hey, even though like this might not be always healthy for you, it is something that I'm providing a service that you want. So talk to us about that mentality.
Well, I feel like the part of that, so
it's like selling ice cream. It's like
I
sometimes
think,
at some point you're like, I know this isn't actually healthy for you, but it is something that I know you want.
I think what it comes down to is part of the camaraderie, to where it's like, hey, like I get it, like I smoked, I vaped, I totally understand it. And I think it's that camaraderie and understanding, and making them not feel like, not necessarily feel bad, but not making them feel like it's bad in a sense.
Like take the taboo out.
Like take the taboo out of it. And
like, this is your choice. It's like, it's fine.
And I usually always try and make it as warm and as inviting as possible. So if someone's like, hey, like comes in like, hey, how's it going? What can I help you with? What are we after? Like even your dad, perfect example. Your dad comes in. I've actually a few times people be like, is that Mr. Blackham? I'm like, yeah.
To be the mayor.
I was like, yeah. They're like, everybody says that. Like, yeah, he used to be the mayor. He's like what? Like everybody tells me stories. Apparently, I didn't know your dad taught Little League baseball, which travel everybody to the games and stuff. Diamondbacks, like, dude, every time your dad
even like went to Diamondbacks games,
that's what one of the guys there was on his team, or was his or your dad coached him.
Oh, nice.
But he's like, yeah, he would get a van and take us all. Like, he's such a good guy. But like, perfect example. Your dad obviously doesn't go to those places. He doesn't. He's not familiar. He's not familiar with it. But when he comes in, I know that I make him feel welcomed. I know I make him feel like, oh, this is it's like walking into Walmart or whatever. Even Walmart's a little weird sometimes, but he's like, oh, I feel comfortable. And I think always, every time, like, even though I'm selling them like a product or something, that there's even some products I sell that I don't necessarily agree with, but I would rather them get it. I would rather find, again, the best quality,
like
the
a
best version
thing that you're like, hey, this is
at
least I know where this is coming from. It's not dangerous.
And I feel very confident in making sure that those people are taken care of in that sense. But it is part of the camaraderie, making them feel warm and welcomed, and then just making sure that when I'm talking to them, it's literally like, we are the same. Like, there's no, I'm not above you, you're not below me. Like, doesn't matter. You can ask me for whatever the heck.
The judgment totally out of it.
All of it out. So whatever you want to ask me. Whatever you want, whether it could be really weird or really bad.
Like, reminded me like going to a grocery store, like when I was younger, like I can't remember if it was my sister or my mom. She's like, "Hey, I need you to go pick up some pads." Like, what do you mean? Like,
Oh yeah.
like I know, like you need to
Yeah.
go pick those up. I was like, but I'm
But
a teenager.
yeah,
And I was like,
boy, I don't.
I'm a boy. So I was like, I need to get something else. And like when you put it on there,
Yeah, so it doesn't look
hiding
as
it.
weird.
You're like,
Yeah.
what? See,
Yeah. No, and
it's
that's
like,
we just started actually carrying cigarettes, like
yeah,
tobacco products. And
uh-huh.
again, I'm not a fan, but the customer wants it,
The
and at
customer wants it, and it's
and I don't want that. Like I know for a fact when that those few people are like, hey, you start whispering and talking quiet, I can hear you get cigarettes and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get cigarettes, and they're like, but then they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, like whatever you want, like we'll get it for you guys. I don't agree, but I'd rather you vape because it's somewhat better, but at the same time, like it is what it is, man. And they're like, and then now that we've brought it in, they were like, oh, he wasn't BSing me. Like he actually brought it in. He actually cares about me. I feel appreciated. I feel seen. And so, a long-winded way, just whenever the customer wants to buy something, and the way that, and when it's in that addictive realm that I'm in, it's literally like, hey, whatever you need, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not.
every single person has their agency.
Yeah.
And if they make a choice that you don't agree with,
That's
it's not our opinion as
Yep.
business owners. Like
Yep.
there's been times when I've had someone that was a prostitute at my place, and I was like, I
Don't agree with it.
do not ever want you to come back, but
thanks for
thank you
stopping
for
by.
staying at my property. It was awful to clean up. I
Yeah.
remember my mom. Okay, this
Oh
is
man,
this is
I
getting
love
odd.
this TMI.
But
I
like,
love
it's
it.
so weird. But like my mom's like, what the heck is this thing? And
Like, you don't
they were
wanna
like,
know.
you don't want to know.
No.
Like
I
don't
can
leave
only
that kind of
I
stuff.
love
It's so
this.
gross.
I love it. I
So
love it.
like you think about it, like sometimes you provide services and
Yeah.
people do
You
things
get
that you're like,
you
I
get
don't agree
weirdos.
with that,
Yep.
and it's what it is.
You get weirdos. But here's the benefit of that. It's like a new experience, you know. It's kind of like, hey, you know, I know that this is out there. This is there. This is, you know, it's a whole thing. But yeah, we just that's really what I try and do consistently, always, all the time, without fail. And I think that's what makes the people feel appreciated, feel good about coming back, and
The
making
welcome
sure.
factor. I mean, if you don't feel welcome, like the chance of you ever coming back again,
Yeah.
pretty much zero.
Yeah. Unless
Right.
it's like
Unless
complete
like
last
absolutely
resort.
like there's no other resort. You're like, this is
Yep.
the only gas station. They're horrible, have horrible
Yep.
service, but there's like 100 miles before the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
You
true.
get the one and done type of service.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what was a question that I didn't ask you that you wished that I had?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I think I mean, I guess one question would be like, you know, I think you did ask it, but it's just more or less like those, like, what's the end goal, I guess.
Yeah,
What's you know, what's
I
the
love that.
final.
Well,
So
what is your end goal? What is you're trying to do? I mean,
guess
you want to validate people.
yeah.
But
I
how do you do that?
man, I think the end goal is just to create not just one business or two or four or 10. I think it's just creating that household name to where people are like, hey, you know what? I may not agree with those guys. They're trustworthy. They're stand-up people, you know?
Great
So
people.
I think that's kind of the end goal, is to create that household name version, whatever. And it's just one of those things that I think that I'm more or less after. So
And that household name that when you hear it, you're like, oh, it's Nick. I love that guy.
yeah, that'd be dope. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
But they're like, man, I know the owner is really
the
good
owner's a
guy, or
good
their
guy.
team, you know,
Yeah.
it's that camaraderie type deal. But yeah, that would be the goal.
Household name.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Freaking awesome. Well, there you have it, guys. We have had a great conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you
man.
so much for sharing your insights. And man, I love that we can come and find common ground in so many different ways.
Yeah, like I said, never forget, the moment we stop talking is the moment we start fighting.
So true.
So
Guys, with that, we're going to end it. If you love hearing these leveling up ideas, all the different stories that we're sharing, keep liking and subscribing. I have these on YouTube. Go to my channel, Brigham Blackham. Would love to have more insight with you guys. If you got anything of value from this, please feel free to leave a review. It's very simple. Go onto the platform and say, hey, this was 5 stars. It was awesome. Super simple. But just because it's simple doesn't mean that you don't want to do it. You definitely want to do that, because this is a way that you can give back and we can continue to add value to you. So thank you so much. And
smash that like button and
smash
subscribe.
the like button and subscribe. Absolutely. So tell us really quick, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram, and that's about it. The Instagram is We'll post it. It's long and obnoxious.
We'll post it. So look for that in the show notes. Absolutely. Well, Nick, thank you so much. And guys, God bless. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace.
Peace.